Hello everyone, my name is Ollie, welcome back. If you've been following this series, this is the third and final part of our chest filtration system. In this episode, we'll give players the ability to set their own filters through a UI. Last episode, we created a custom interaction that allows us to right-click our custom block with iron. This episode will be expanding on that, allowing it to pop up a custom UI. So when I right-click this chest with iron ore, it'll pop up a UI. Here I can enter my comma separated filter, so iron, gold, then hit done. As you can see, it says created filter with 2 entries. Now if I open my chest and I shift click this iron here and this gold, it'll automatically go to the right row. And if I try to put the gold in the iron, it doesn't work, and the iron in the gold, it doesn't work, but any other slot is free to put anything in. All right, we're back in IntelliJ, and let's start with the coding. First, we're gonna right click on our main package, go to new, package, and type pages. Next, we're going to right click on pages, go to new, Java class, then type chest filter page. In this class, we'll start by making an inner class to hold our data and allow it to be transferred between client and server. This is what's called a data transfer object, or DTO for short. So we'll start by typing public static class filter event data. Then public string filter input. This is going to hold our input from the UI. Next, we're going to create a codec. So we'll type public static final builder codec of type filter event data, and we're going to name it codec. And we'll set this equal to builder codec.builder.build. And in the builder, we're going to type filter event data.class. Then filter event data new. If this confuses you, please check out my second video. It goes in depth about codecs. Next, for our class, we'll do extends interactive custom UI page of type chest filter page.filter event data. This is going to allow the superclass to handle our DTO properly. Now we're going to see a red underline, so we're going to hover over this and hit implement methods. We'll see this build method and hit OK. Next, we're going to get another underline, and we'll hover over this again, hit create constructor matching super. Then we're going to delete the lifetime and event data codec fields, and we'll pass them in directly to the constructor. So first, we'll start by custom page lifetime can dismiss or close through interaction. Then for the codec, we'll do our filter event data.codec. This can dismiss through interaction line will allow us to close the UI with escape or by using our interact button. Next, we want to pass in our chest state to the constructor. So we're going to do private final filter chest state. This is the state we created in episode 4, I believe, filter chest state. Then we're going to do alt plus enter and add constructor parameter. You can also hover over it, add constructor parameter, and it'll automatically add it. Next, I'm going to space out this method to make it look a little better. So I'm going to add spaces here, here, and here. Next, we're going to do UI command builder dot append pages slash chest filter page dot UI. This is going to link this code to the chest filter page UI file that we're going to create later. Next, we're going to start typing handle data event. This is automatically going to pop us up 2 different options here. We're going to use the second one here with ref store filter event data. I'm going to delete the super.handle event data here. Then I'm going to space this out again like our last method. Here, I'm going to do store.getComponent, then we're going to pass in the ref, and we'll do player.getComponent type. This is to get our player. After we get our player, we're going to check if the input is null or empty. The input is going to be filled into our DTO. So you can see this method has the type filter event data, and that's the type we passed in here. So we can check if data.filter input equals null, or data.filter input is empty, then return. Now we're going to parse the user input, because if you remember, we had a comma separated input for the filters. So we'll do data.filterinput.split, and we're going to split it by commas. Then we're going to do Control-Alt-V. Now we're going to do for int I equals 0, I is less than split.length, I plus plus. We're going to do split I equals split I dot trim, which is going to get rid of any white space. Now that we parsed and cleaned up our user input, what we're going to do is create a new filter data object, which we created in the last episode, and we'll pass in our input, which is split. And then we're going to do Control-Alt-V. Now we should send the user a message that we've created a filter with their input. So we're going to do player.sendMessage, message.raw, and I'm going to type created filter with %d entries. Then I'm going to do .formatted, and I'm going to type split.length. Next, I'm going to do filter chest state.setup row filters, and I'm going to pass in our filter data that we just created. Next, I'm going to close the UI by doing player.getPageManager.setPage. I'm going to pass in the ref, the store, and page.none. Next, I'm going to go back to my filter event data inner class, and I'm going to expand this codec here a little bit. So I'm going to go to the left of the .build and put .append. Then I'm going to pass in new keyed codec, and I'm going to delete this object here, and I'm going to pass in @filter input. And this will make more sense when we get to the .ui file, but for now, just bear with me. And I'm going to make the type codec.string. Then I'm going to put a comma, and I'm going to pass in a setter first. So we're going to do filter, event, data, and input. And we'll do filter event data dot filter input equals input. Then I'm going to put another comma and then pass in a getter. So I'm going to do filter event data, and I'm going to do filter event data dot filter input. And lastly, I'm going to put .add here, and the build method should turn back from being read. And now that we're done with our codec, let's revisit the build method. And this part, we're going to do UI event builder, add event binding, custom UI event binding type .activating. Then I'm going to name this #done button. Again, this will make more sense in a second. Then I'm going to type new event data .append, and the key is going to be @filter input, and the value will be #filter input .value. All right, so let's start with the explanations. So first of all, this custom UI event binding type .activating makes the event only trigger when we activate something, or for example, press the button. Next, the selector is what we're going to name our button in our UI file. So this key tells the code where our output should go. This value here tells it where to take the input from. This handle event data method is like an event listener, and it gets triggered when someone presses the button here. And it passes in this event data, which is the data that comes from the UI page. So in our interaction, instead of sending this message and setting our own hard-coded filter, we're going to prompt the user to enter their own filter. But before that, I just want to bring up a quick point that might make your code bug out if you had multiple worlds. If you didn't know, Hytale is multi-threaded, and they do make a thread per world. So over here, this code might bug out if it's not run on the right thread. So I'm going to do world.execute, and in the execute, I'm going to put this code. And I'm going to put the new logic that opens the menu for them. So I'm going to do player.getPageManager.open custom page. And we're going to pass in the owning entity. Then we're going to pass in the store. And lastly, we're going to do new chest filter page. I'm going to do player.getPlayerRef, which is deprecated, but we're going to use it for now for simplicity. And then we're going to put filter chest state here. Okay, now we're done with the actual code part. Next, we'll move on to the resources. So we're going to right-click the resource folder, new, directory, and start typing common, C, /UI in all caps, custom, C, /pages, P. Now, we're going to right-click this and new file and name this chest filter page.ui. UI in lowercase. Trust me when I tell you, your name of this file needs to match your page's Java class file. That took me so long to figure out, and I was spending so long trying to understand why my code wasn't working. This was it. Okay, now that we have our UI file, I'm just going to use this code that I prepared ahead of this video. I'm not going to go too in depth into this, but if you wanted to, there is a tool that I linked in my description that is a visual UI builder. That'll help you build this UI without needing to know exactly how this works. There are also other tutorials about the UI file. I'm not an expert on this. I kind of just picked up a couple of things and built a simple UI. If you want me to go in depth, I can do more research and make another video. Just let me know. Just to highlight a few key points, a label is pretty much a piece of text, and anything after this label with the hashtag is kind of like the ID we use to refer to this component specifically. In the curly braces is kind of the properties of this label here. So we have first label is the title, second label is the subtitle, and the third label is the prompt, which is the text above our input field. Next, we have our test field, and we gave it ID filter input. So if we go back to our chest filter page, you'll see that it uses hashtag filter input dot value. So this means it's going to look for anything with the hashtag filter input ID, just like this text field, and it's going to get the value that's currently present there. Lastly, we created a text button with the hashtag done button ID. If we go back to our code, we can see this event binding is bound to this hashtag done button. So it's going to look for anything with the ID hashtag done button, and when that thing activates, so for example, when the button is pressed, it's going to trigger an event with this event data, and then we can handle it here in our listener. All right, and that's it. We've created all of our code, and all we need to do now is build our project and relog in game. And I'm going to place it down, and then I'm going to right click it. We get this menu. I'm going to type in iron, gold, hit done. And this says created filter with 2 entries. I'm going to put the iron in, and let's find some gold. I'm going to put some gold in, and it goes to the right slot. If I put it here, it works. If I put it here, it works, but I can't put it in the iron slot. All right, this one was pretty straightforward. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you guys found this video useful, and I hope you come back for more content. I'm going to do more than just tutorials next. I'm going to start creating my own plugins and showcasing them, and I'm going to start working on a video that I'm calling My Application to Hytale.